Hi, I'm Mike Pearl, and what I do for pastimes is throw tomahawks into pieces of wood and knives. That's upside down throw that we use for throwing at a rabbit. I killed a beaver one time with tomahawk and knives. See the target down at the ground? Just like that, keeps the handle from getting in the way. All right, I think Jared has some more questions here. So Jared, what's your question?
Hey, my name is Jeremy. I live in Montana, and here's my question. Is Jesus still a man, or did he lose his humanity sometime after the resurrection? Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
That's a great question, and I've got a message on that in the book of Hebrews. In fact, I think I have an individual message on it called The Man Christ Jesus. Don't we have that? I believe we do. And you can order that from No Greater Joy, or it may be a free download, I don't know. The Man Christ Jesus. Yes, Jesus is still the God-man. When he was resurrected from the dead, we find him appearing on the road to Emmaus with the disciples as a man, fully a man. In fact, they didn't recognize him. He had his hood on, as they do in those days. It was late in the day, sun was going down. He walked along talking to them and explained to them in the scriptures all the things concerning himself. This is right after his resurrection. And these two disciples didn't recognize him till they got indoors and got in the light and asked him to break the bread, and he broke the bread, and possibly they saw the nail prints in his hands, and their eyes were opened, the Bible said, and they knew him. And then later he appeared with them on the bank. Peter was fishing, and so Jesus is there, and he's built a fire and caught some fish. I guess they volunteered, and he had cooked the fish, and so he had fish and bread ready for the disciples when they got out of their boat, and he fed them. So he's fully a man. It says there in the book of Hebrews that it behooved him to be made like unto his brethren, that he might become a merciful and a faithful high priest in things pertaining to God. So the man Christ Jesus is seated on the right hand of God. If he didn't remain a man, then he couldn't conduct his ministry of reconciliation. See, the first Adam took the whole human race into sin. The last Adam, the Bible calls Jesus, which calls him the second man, even after his resurrection, he's the second man. The second man, it says, is the Lord of heaven. And so Jesus, what he did, he came and took the place of the first Adam and succeeded where the first Adam failed. So here's God, here's man, and there's this chasm of sin between us. God penetrated the barrier and became a human being, just like us, identical to us. In fact, he had flesh and blood. He was capable of bleeding, capable of dying. He got tired. He had to eat to sustain his natural body. He's a human being. As a human being, he succeeded where Adam failed. He won. He was the victor over sin. Matthew 4, Luke 4, Mark 4, he refused to sin when the devil tempted him, and he overcame. So at the end of his life, he was good enough to ascend into heaven, sit on God's right hand. But instead of doing that, as a man, he died. And as a man, he was buried and went in the grave. As a man, he was resurrected. He was still up, God in spirit, God in soul, man in body. So as a man, he was resurrected, and as a man, he ascended into heaven and sat down on the right hand of God. So what we now have is a representative man in heaven. In other words, we have one of our own, a human being who's gone into heaven and is seated on the right hand of God. So Jesus has the hand of the Father with one hand and the hand of sinful man with the other. And so Jesus brings the deity and flesh, human flesh, together. And that's how we're born again, is through the man Christ Jesus interceding for us on the right hand of the Father. Read the book of Hebrews, the first couple chapters there, and you'll see that beautifully portrayed, Christ's manhood and his deity and the place for his humanity in our salvation. So yes, he's the man Christ Jesus who, the Bible said, great is the mystery of godliness. God was manifested in the flesh, justified in the Spirit, seen of angels, believed on in the world, preached to the Gentiles, and received up into glory. So that man right now is in glory. And when he comes back in the book of Revelation, he comes back as a man. He comes back on a white horse, riding a horse, and he sits on the throne of this earth as a man. God and man mixed. It's a great mystery how God can be eternal and infinite and finite at the same time. How he can be everywhere in one place at the same time. How he can be all-knowing and yet in a human mind and human body. How he can be intangible, infinite self and yet be a tangible, touchable, handleable body. It's a mystery, the Bible calls it, and something we'll never understand maybe till we get to glory. So that's a good question, and get that tape, The Man Christ Jesus. I think it'll be a real blessing to you. CD, or MP3, whatever format it's in. All right?
If you would like to ask a Bible question, email us at biblequestions@nogreaterjoy.org or call at 931-805-4820.